Arizona spouses make promises to each other all the time. But can a spouse enforce his or her pledge in a divorce proceeding? In the case of Payette versus Payette, the Arizona Court of Appeals considered many theories for enforcing the husband's promise to his wife in that case. The wife was a coordinator of the surgical technical program at Pima College, and her husband was, at the time, her student. Both of them had bachelor's degrees and dreams of getting more education. The couple reached an agreement that the wife would support the husband for 3 years while he got his law degree, and then he would support her while she earned her master's degree. Husband went to law school. For the first 2 years, the wife's job supported both of them. The third year, she lost her job and they had to live on savings, but those savings were largely from the savings she earned from her employment. They used those funds to support themselves. Charles got his law degree and filed for divorce before the wife was able to go back to school for her master's degree. The wife did not qualify for alimony, but she asked for the divorce court to make her husband pay her the value of his promise, the amount it would cost to support her while she got her master's degree. The divorce court did award her $23,000 for the cost of her education to be paid by husband. The husband appealed the case to the Arizona Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals first considered whether the oral agreement between the parties was an enforceable contract. Under Arizona law, for an agreement to be binding, it must be definite enough to be enforced. It must include specifics like when and where the contract obligations must be performed. The parties' verbal agreement was uncertain about when the wife would return to school, where she would go, or how long it would take. The court ruled that the contract was not specific enough to be enforced as a verbal contract. The wife also claimed she should be reimbursed under Arizona Revised Statute Section 25-318 for the amount she spent on her husband's legal education. That law says that a divorce judge can consider one spouse's excessive or abnormal expenditures. The wife claimed her husband's law degree was an asset that he obtained by spending all of the money belonging to both of them, and that she should be reimbursed. The court didn't agree with her. The settled law in Arizona holds that education and professional degrees aren't marital property and cannot be divided in a divorce. The wife argued her husband was then unjustly enriched. By her paying for him during law school, she asked for reimbursement for what she invested in his career. If you provide services to someone as part of an agreement you think is valid, but it turns out not to be, the other person is said to be unjustly enriched. The person rendering the service has a right to be reimbursed if the circumstances are such that in good conscience, the person should pay compensation. Another way to put it is that a court can award restitution if it just isn't fair for the person to keep what they got without paying for it. The Court of Appeals noted that even though the couple's agreement was not definite enough to be enforced as a contract, it was enough to prove the wife's claim that husband had been unjustly enriched. The oral agreement shows that the wife expected compensation for what she did. That is, she expected her husband would pay for her schooling after she paid for his, as promised. It also shows circumstances that make it unjust to allow the husband to keep the benefits of her efforts. In discussing the issue, it differentiated cases where a wife performed homemaking duties while her husband was attending professional school. Homemaking, the court noted, was important to a marriage, but couldn't be the basis for a request for compensation for unjust enrichment when the couple divorced. The wife's case, the court said, was different in that she actually worked to pay for Charles' education. It distinguished her case because, one, the community money, earned largely by a wife, was used for paying for the education of her husband. Secondly, the wife can't get spousal support a homemaking spouse could get since she proved that she could support herself and her husband. Lastly, three, the husband asked for a divorce quickly after he finished his education and before the couple could see any benefit from that legal education. Therefore, the court ruled that it would be unfair not to require the husband to reimburse the wife based upon their promise. The court said that the wife should be awarded either the actual amount she paid for her husband's education and living expenses, or the amount she would have received had he paid for her to get her master's degree, whichever was the lesser of the two.